Hey, you're listening to Ty Bollinger of CancerTruth.net. You're also listening to Justin and Kate with Extreme Health Radio. These guys are great. Enjoy listening to them. I always do.
Welcome to Extreme Health Radio. Extreme Health Radio.
Where natural solutions to almost every health condition are out there. Join us on our journey to find them.
Now here are your hosts,
Broadcasting from sunny Southern California around the world.
Justin and Kate Stellman.
All right.
I know what you're going to say. Another cloudy day here in Southern California.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. That voice you just heard was my wife and co-host, Kate.
Partner in crime.
And I hope you are having a great day out there. I know we are. This is Extreme Health Radio, and my name is Justin, and you just heard Kate, and we're broadcasting worldwide from Southern California, which is an amazing thing. We're able to do that and get to over 120 countries around the world, which is pretty awesome. So thank you for joining us. I hope you're having a good day. We do shows 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And if you'd like to follow what we do and keep up to date with what we have going on, we'd love to have you join our community. You can do that just by going to extremehealthradio.com/Facebook. Click the little like button on there and you'll be off and running. And let's see, for reference, today is today the
31st already.
It's the last day of July, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
Isn't that amazing? July 31st, 2013, amazing.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought this day would have ever come?
I'm glad we're here for it, though.
And this is episode number 131. So if you would like to read the transcript one day and check out the show notes, Kate is going to be taking notes during the session. And you can just go to extremehealthradio.com/131. No need to take notes. It'll all be there for you. And there's a few ways for you to join the show. Love to have you join the show, what we got going on, ask questions. You can email them, Justin at extremehealthradio.com or
Kate, Kate, at extremehealthradio.com.
And another really great thing we're offering is a voicemail feature, so you can record that right from your computer. You can just go to extremehealthradio.com/voicemail, all one word, and you'll be able to record a message for our guest or for us and send it to us, and we can play it. So it's really a great feature.
Yeah, we really enjoy those. Those the better.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. And if you ever shop on Amazon, a great way to support us is by shopping through our link. And if you want to do that and you buy from Amazon, it doesn't have to be health related. You can just go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, and we'll get a little commission that will help support our work. And just looking at the show schedule here, Kate, we have a lot of really awesome guests coming up. The next guest we have is Eddie Stone from Touchstone Essentials. He's the CEO, and he puts out the zeolite that we take, and really good stuff there. Nice detoxification product.
Yeah.
And then we've got David Sarita, Healing with Energy, Light, and Sound.
Ooh.
So that should be interesting.
Yep.
Golly, so many weird
There's some
things.
fascinating stuff out there, isn't there?
Yeah, then we have resident nutritionist and trainer Sean Stevenson, who's really into fitness and superfoods and herbs and tonic herbalism and all kinds of things. So he'll be joining the show. We had a chance to meet him a couple days ago, so that should be fun. But today, I'm really excited about having Michael King on, and he is the formulator and owner of VitalityHerbsAndClay.com, and he's a life enrichment consultant, a researcher of nature's most powerful healing resources all over the world, and he's the author of Detoxify, Nourish, and Build, 3 Essentials for Vibrant Health, and he's up in Oregon today, and we're going to be talking about sleep and the many problems people have with sleep. So thanks a lot, Michael, for being on today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so you are up in Oregon, is that right?
Yes, Ashland, Oregon, and we have extremely cloudy days because of the fires. It's all smoke and red sun and so forth. Little ash particles falling down upon us.
Oh, man.
Continuously.
Wow. So is that normal or typical for this time of year?
Well, not in this intensity. I've never seen it, but I mean, those who have been closer to past fires saw it in this level. We're pretty far away from these 100 or so fires that are out burning right now, but the smoke all across this huge valley is just it's very thick, like a heavy fog.
That's kind of spooky, huh?
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, we had that once here, remember, a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
I'd never seen a sky like that. It's just eerie.
Yeah, it's eerie kind of feeling.
Yeah, wow.
So a lot of the herbs that you get, or the clays, I should say, that you get for your company have all been sourced, I guess, near where you are, right?
We have some in the Oregon vicinity. They're actually grown here in Oregon, probably just 2 hours away from us. Some are sourced from organic suppliers around the country. We have probably 20 or so different suppliers. Some do come from overseas, South America, India, etc. And they are primarily organic, wild-crafted, consciously grown, tested. You know, we're very meticulous about the selection of herbs and the quality and the energy that comes off of them. And we work with about 250 herbs from around the world. And the goal was really to assemble the best of the best that Mother Nature had to offer. And so and those herbs just kept coming my way. Once that intention goes out, you know how nature does this.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Things come.
Yeah,
And the clay was another aspect of that. We discovered that about 8 years ago, even though it had been formulating for, say, 13 years ago. So the clay came in as a very unique type of clay that at first I didn't really understand its significance. It took me about a year to really catch on to how effective, how powerful a paraphyllite clay is compared to most other clays on the market, even though I'm a great fan of all the clays out there, because I think nature's done something really remarkable in that world of clay construction. But this is different. You know, it's unique. It's very powerful, and so it's more effective as a detoxifier and a nutrient source.
And so why are clays so beneficial for the body? I've heard that all mammals will eat clay if they get sick.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So why are clays so helpful for the body?
Well, that's a really good question, because we can only imagine the body has come from the clay of the earth. Mm-hmm. So the association, consciously and common sense-wise, is clay is a natural food source. The benefit to clay is it has been broken down over thousands or millions of years into a fine sediment. And so, and its nutrient profiles, mineral profiles, have been, let's say, balanced out over that time.
Okay.
So it typically starts off as a lava ash, or lava, rolling lava, such as a zeolite. Ash is mostly the bentonites. And then the paraphyllite is an underground lava lake that cooled and then decomposed through the influence of underground aquifer water, steam and pressure. So this is the various ways in which nature creates a clay, but it starts off as a rock, molten rock soup. And so that's it's mineral dense. But then as it breaks down, all those minerals are very balanced in nature, and they become, you know, the more broken down it becomes, the smaller the particle size, therefore the more surface area for attraction of toxins to itself, and then the more attractive the nutrients are under certain circumstances to assimilating through the cell wall. Of course, that's an aspect of some or many of the clays that makes that bioavailability possible, and that component is the amorphous type of silica in that clay. Assimilability that requires silicic acids. So that's always a big question as to how are these minerals, these rock-type minerals, going to assimilate. Well, it's because built into the clay itself, oftentimes, if it's a younger deposit, you will find the silicic, the amorphous silica, which converts to a silicic acid, which acts as the escort for minerals through the cell wall in the body.
Wow.
And there are also, because many clays aren't, if I'm correct, aren't nutritional, but I guess some of them are and some of them are not. Is that, because I've always heard of clays as being mostly a cleansing thing to draw toxins out.
It has to do with, I think, partly the type of clay and how old the clay deposit is.
Okay.
If it's many, many millions of years, as most of the bentonites are going to be very old deposits, and they will be, combinations of decomposed plant matter and lava rock. And they have characteristics that will absorb lots of moisture.
Mm-hmm.
So the downside to, say, a sodium bentonite that absorbs lots of moisture is that if it isn't hydrated properly, then it goes in and it starts to absorb a lot of things, and some of that could be your nutrients. If you're dealing with a clay that does not have that swelling absorptive property, then that's less so. And so you just need the standard, what they refer to as ligands or escorts, or a nutrient or a mineral in through the cell wall. If you have these escorts, and they can come in the form of a silicic acid, as I just mentioned, or a citric acid, or a humic acid, fulvic acid, which is typical of your humates.
Okay.
So all of these are possible escorts that ensure bioavailability. The challenge with many of the older clays is that the silica that is required to create the silicic acid version of that, those escorts, it has reconverted back to quartz more so than in the younger stages, younger lava deposits, let's say younger rolling lava or lava ash and so forth. That's higher in amorphous or free-formed silica.
Wow.
So there's the difference. If you have the amorphous form of silica, which the sacred clay is, and the ormalite are high in, then you will have greater bioavailability of mineral nutrients through the cell wall.
That's interesting.
So this really matters then what kind of clays people are taking as far as not robbing them of the beneficial nutrients they need to keep.
It does matter, and probably more so in this day and age. As an example, a very popular clay is a calcium montmorillonite.
Okay.
Well, the advantage to a montmorillonite is that it's a very small particle size. It's smaller than, say, a sodium bentonite. So montmorillonites are roughly 1 micron in size, which is very tiny. And that's very good for good surface area and bioavailability and so forth if all the other factors are present. The challenge with a calcium montmorillonite in this day and age is that we are so overabundant in calcium in our diet from our eggs and our meats and our cheeses and so forth that it can overcompete with the magnesium, which is already being drained because of the what shall we say, the toxicities in our environment that are drawing from the magnesium stores. So in this day and age, a calcium montmorillonite is probably not your best source of clay. If you are calcium deficient, maybe, but you really need a better balance of electrolytes, not just calcium and magnesium, but potassium and sodium, etc.
I see.
You need a good amount of carbon, etc. in there.
Okay.
And so my observation of and experience with the pyrophyllite clay is that it is fairly equal in the calcium, potassium, and magnesium, and it's got a good amount of sodium, naturally occurring iron, and carbon in there, all of which make for an effective nutrient source for the body.
Okay, so I would imagine that clays would be a good thing to have involved in your daily protocol because it would involve a certain amount of detoxification in order to sleep better as well, right?
Absolutely. Toxicities are one of the major causes of sleep deprivation, and it could come in the form of chemical toxicities, medical, medication toxicities. It could just be, environmental disturbing hormonal balance in the body that would create insomnia.
So what is going on, do you think, with insomnia in people? I know each person is different, but sleep problems are just a huge issue in today's world. And I guess it's hard to say, just generalizing, but each person I know would be different. What do you think is going on kind of on a general level with people and the inability to fall asleep or stay asleep?
The nature of our society is so abundant in factors that disturb hormonal balance. And we're talking multiple generations of this. So part of it is the fact that we are multiple generation sugar consumers. And part of this is that we are multiple generation junk food consumers. And our world has grown increasingly toxic in the waterways, in the land, and our farmland has become increasingly mineral deficient, or actually the minerals are still there. It's just locked up because of chemical farming practices, etc. And plowing and so forth as a mainstay, and monocropping and things like that. So the wisdom of how to grow food in a nutrient-dense capacity has been lost over the generations. And so it's sort of like we're being attacked from all angles, and it's taking its toll on the human body. Multiple generations, the alcohol, the recreational drugs, which does extensive damage to draining a very important vital reserve called kidney jing essence. And as that gets depleted, because we are seeking for that piece of happiness in this unhappy world, and so we reach for these artificial support systems, and it wears out the adrenal glands, and it drains the jing out of our body, which is a very subtle and essential energy that actually is the reason why we still have life in the body. It's a sustaining energy, and it's more subtle than the chi force. So it's very influential on the quality of your immune system. It's influential on the level, your mental focus, your stamina and drive during the day. So many things have to do with hormonal balance and chemical balance and so forth, is all tied to, directly or indirectly, to the level of kidney jing.
That's interesting.
So when it gets depleted, insomnia is a natural problem.
So is the kidney is a part of this jing, I guess, or does it itself create the jing, or where does the jing come from?
It's an energetic, like the meridians of the body. They flow, and they're energy. There's an electrical component. There are hormonal components and endocrine components because of the way the energies flow through or influence each of the endocrine glands, hormone-producing glands. And so the jing is sort of like a storehouse. Martial artists understand this very well, and so they concentrate on building the kidney jing in that, the diantian they call it. So they're building it in the lower abdomen, and it's really replenishing or drawing more of a universal energy into the kidneys to replenish that from life stresses.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow. Are you there?
Are you still there?
So, yes, go ahead.
Oh, no.
So, go ahead. So this is the energetic interplay of the body is so intertwined with sleep, because there are times where you need those energetic flows, the meridians, the jing essence, to be active, and then there's times where you need it to not be so, to quiet, to just calm down and let you go to sleep. So now, naturally, hormones are very closely aligned with this quality of jing and the meridians, because its purpose of cortisol that comes from the adrenal cortex is designed to wake you up. And so if you have it going on all the time, especially during the night, then you end up with this nocturnal behavior where you're up all night, or you can't get to sleep, or you sleep fitfully, or you have, because kidney Jing is being depleted, then you also will more likely have a frequent urination.
That's if you have
very water sensitive.
That's if you have a high cortisol level. Is that right?
That's, yes, one of the indicators. Yes,
Okay.
all that. The high cortisol at night will keep you awake. Now, so what happens? Why is it that things get turned around? Why isn't cortisol coming on properly during the day when the sunrise comes up? And what happens when the sunrise starts to come across the earth in your region? Your pineal gland picks that up, even through the walls and everything. It picks that up. And so normally it starts the process of turning off melatonin, which the pineal gland typically manufactures. So it's kind of silly to consume the artificial version of that in the health which stores melatonin, when all you need to do is nourish your own body, and it will manufacture its own as it always did.
Okay.
And in fact, it's very dangerous to use hormone replacement therapy like that at all, for any reason.
So people just taking melatonin, you feel that could be dangerous?
Very dangerous, yes.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
Okay. And that could be, are there greater and lesser types of melatonin that could be, more or less dangerous, or do you figure they're all dangerous?
They're all dangerous.
Okay.
And yes, if something is a chemical, which most of them out there, to my understanding, are, then you have more danger because it's less natural. But the natural ones, again, all forms of natural bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, glandulars, and so forth, are an attempt to micromanage the body's natural hormone levels.
Okay.
Now, contrast that with the way nature originally designed this. Okay, your hormonal system, the endocrine glands, pineal, pituitary, thymus, thyroid, parathyroids, adrenal glands, your spleen, your pancreas, these are your fat cells, even produce hormones. These, your reproductive. So all these are the primary endocrine glands, and they all require minerals in order to manufacture or build a hormone. In our mineral deficient world, we are lacking the building blocks of these hormones. And so it's very difficult to like if you were to tell a brick mason to go out, build you a wall, but not provide them with the bricks. You say, wait a minute, I need some bricks. You say, I'm sorry, I just want this wall. Would you please put it up? So it's asking the body to do the impossible, build something that it doesn't have the resources to build, and that's part of the reason why we have deficiencies in the hormonal department. So nature has provided two primary solutions to maintaining balance in the hormonal world, and others, but primarily these are the strongest, most effective that I've come across, and they eliminate entirely the need over time of any of that hormone replacement, therapy requirements.
Okay, I think that would be great. We have to actually take a quick break, so I want to hear about
right back
that.
to that.
Yeah,
sure.
When we come back from the break, we're with Michael King from Vitality Herbs and Clay, and we take Kate his clays every day.
We sure do.
And his digestive bitters, and we also just had a little sample of
the friendly flora.
And his earth and sea greens. He's got amazing
awesome
stuff. So if you're interested in his products with clays and all kinds of just amazing stuff, check out vitalityherbsandclay.com. And like I said, we're with Michael King, and we'll be right back after this break. Rebounding is, in my mind, one of the best ways to detoxify your lymphatic system, and it's the only exercise on earth that will actually detoxify your lymphatic system. And your lymph system is responsible for storing toxins and chemicals and poisons that you're exposed to, and there's no pump for the lymph system. It doesn't have a heart, so you have to move it up and down, and it's filled with millions of one-way valves that get squeezed and pushed and opened and closed every time you jump. And we feel like we've found the best rebounder on the market today. It's the Rolls Royce of rebounding. It's called the Bellicon. And I highly, highly stand behind this product. It's absolutely amazing. If you want to hear what some of our guests said about it, check them out on our store. You can listen to what a lot of our guests have said about rebounding and the Bellicon in particular. So a lot of times people will go on the rebounder with oxygen for cancer if they're really sick. And it's one of the most powerful things you can do to cleanse your body and to exercise every single cell in your body, every organ in your body. It's the only internal organ exercise you could do. And it's absolutely incredible. It also helps to rebuild bone density because of the up and down motion, the G-force that gets applied to every cell of your body, and it tightens and tones your body, and it's just really, really great aerobic exercise. And the Bellicon is made with straps, these bungee cords instead of springs, so it's silent and they have a warranty on it. It's the best rebounder on the market today. So if you're in the market for one, I would highly recommend just saving up and getting the Bellicon, because there's no other rebounder on the market that's better than this thing. I firmly believe that. So if you're interested in it, check it out, extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON. And you can learn more about it and watch the videos on that page too. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy your rebounder, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide.
Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates
At extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
All right, we're back with Michael King from Vitality Herbs and Clay, and I just wanted to remind you guys of that rebounder. If you have not checked that out, the Bellicon rebounder is just an amazing piece of equipment.
That's a top-notch rebounder.
It is the best rebounder. It's just an amazing thing, and we've had a lot of people talk about it. David Wolf talked about it. It's just a great thing. So
Ty Bollinger.
Ty Bollinger. Click on that link and check out. There's a bunch of videos and stuff. You can check that out, and make sure to support our sponsors as well, because that's the only way we're going to be able to bring you guys free shows 4 times a week. So make sure to check those out. And like the lady was just saying, follow us on Facebook. Lots of great things going on Facebook. So please join our community. We'd love to have you a part of that. And let's see. So, Michael, I think before the break, you were talking about some of the building blocks, I think, right, for building up some of these reserves in the body.
That's right. There are 2 primary sources that nature has provided us in order to repair depleted or damaged hormonal glands and the whole system, the energetic system, the Jing essence.
Okay.
And one of them is the minerals. So minerals are absolutely essential because they are the building blocks of hormones. Cholesterol is another major building block for the steroidal hormones. But everything in the body requires minerals. So that's why our programs concentrate heavily on ensuring an adequate, if not a majorly abundant, supply of a broad spectrum of earthen-sourced minerals. So and I want to contrast that from a store-bought or laboratory-concocted assemblage of 2, 5, 10, or 20 minerals. That's a major problem for the body if you are utilizing any of these forms of laboratory concoctions.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because nature understands the needs of the human body and understands how to combine resources in a way that science is not even begun to understand. I mean, the only way you can really get it right is to try not to mess with nature and utilize nature in her most original form possible in every instance.
Okay.
So when we take minerals that are not balanced by original design, then we end up taxing the body with the need to find all of these complementing opposites and balancing components of the 2, 5, or 10 minerals that we end up consuming. So your CalMag supplements, your zinc supplements, your selenium, all these major things that have so much science. You need this. Taken alone, it's very harmful. It disturbs your biological terrain. Taken from an original source, you need selenium, so you go to the Brazil nut. If you need calcium and mag, your clays are an excellent source. Various food sources, various superfoods have them in abundance. You look for them in foods and in earthen sources like humic acids or clays or whatever.
Okay.
So minerals are essential because they are the building blocks of practically everything in the human body. Secondly, when it comes to rebuilding hormonal balance in the body, there is nothing that has more effectiveness than an adaptogenic herb. Now, many of the more natural hormone therapists are utilizing adaptogens. And so, however, in combination with earth-based mineral sources, then you don't really necessarily need glandulars as a temporary stepping stone to better hormone, expression.
Huh. That makes sense.
Okay, so we actually have a couple questions here. I got one from Karen from Australia, and she wrote in a pretty good question. She says, I have terrible trouble getting to sleep. I can be awake for up to 4 hours. And I've tried meditation. I don't drink coffee or eat chocolate or have any stimulants prior to bed. I try to read before bed as I find TV just has my mind stays too active. It is driving me insane unless I give in and take a sleeping tablet over the counter. Also, I wake up during the night at least twice to go to the bathroom. Hence, when I wake up in the morning, I do not want to get out of bed. Help.
That is so characteristic, and it is actually very characteristic of the life I used to live.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, I grew up in a adrenal deficient, kidney depleted, major sugar consumer, major junk food addict.
Okay.
I had a lot of stress. It was I was 2 years on antibiotics, tetracycline during high school.
Oh my God!
And it just about cleaned my clock in that respect. So getting out of college was a major struggle. I almost flunked out. Just had no memory, no capacity to remember facts, and that's what education is these days. So that was, in 1976, I started looking for answers to my chronic fatigue, my digestive problems, my heart irregularities, and this insomnia.
Uh-huh.
And so I walked into my first health food store, and that began the process. And I began, sure enough, I realized that there really are answers. Nature has them. Question science, because science is part of what caused my problems. Really look at the diet, because it's so crucial. It's what's, especially nowadays with the genetic modifications that are inbred in most of the foods, specifically, and very importantly in this case, the breads, that are skyrocketing sugar levels much higher than even white sugar will do because of their genetic modifications in the 50s. So we have to be very careful about what we put into our bodies, and most importantly, how we combine our foods, which was a major discovery for me along the way, that many health foods are making us sick because they are combined. Combining fruits and nuts, as an example. We think like a granola trail mix is a great thing to be nibbling on throughout the day. You can get very sick nibbling on granola bars and granola because it combines nuts and raisins and other fruits and honey maybe and grains all in the same mix, and it can cause a major candida overgrowth in the body, blow out the spleen, that is very sensitive to these sugars, and disrupt digestion and so forth. And then, of course, hormones because of this overgrowth of the fungal yeast in the body, it impacts the hormone production.
Interesting. Okay, so the sugar affects the hormones, and the hormones affects your ability to release the cortisol and go to sleep, and affects all of that. Okay.
To regulate. So these endocrine glands need to communicate with each other. And the adrenal glands and the pineal gland, as an example, they send little tiny messenger hormones to each other and saying, okay, now's the time to turn off the cortisol and turn on the melatonin. And so these messenger hormones are just helping the body to regulate based on the immediate stress in the moment or the immediate need. And so this is going on all the time behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. However, there is a major, let's say, need to regulate when we take things like a concentrated sugar. It could be a honey, because it is naturally occurring but concentrated sugar.
Okay.
It could be a brown sugar, the sucanat or Rapunzel or something. These really good, supposedly, quote, natural organic cane sugar, evaporated cane juice, things like this. And because they are concentrated, because they are evaporated, because they're not the plant directly, it is a strain, especially in this day and age, on our bodies, because we're already sugar sensitive. From our previous generations, we're third, fourth, fifth, sixth generation sugar users.
Right.
And the amounts that we're consuming as a generation has multiplied exponentially over the years.
So, Michael, do you think that these combining of fats and sugars is a problem? Let's say someone has, a smoothie or does something where they combine that, before noon each day, but the rest of the day they're eating okay or they're not doing that. Do you think that doing such a thing early in the day like that is still going to be detrimental for people trying to go to sleep at night?
Yes, absolutely it will. So the food combining is only one influence that can help keep you awake at night.
Interesting. Okay.
And so that food combining can actually have its impact for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow, really?
I learned that the hard way. If I took a quarter teaspoon of sugar, I saw the impact on my life for 3 more weeks before I got it balanced, because I didn't know how at the time to I didn't know about digestive bitters. I didn't understand about not improving the power of the immune system to be able to correct things quickly and how to go about that. I didn't understand the power of clays and minerals that could have helped me do this. So it would hang out. I would have a problem: fuzzy brain, bloaty belly, digestive problems, constipation, whatever. It was just like all of these common symptoms to fungal overgrowth in the body. So the bottom line is that the sugars, the caffeines. If I drank green tea in the morning once, I would be up till 1 or 2 at night.
Seriously?
So you became that sensitive. That's amazing.
That's right. That's an extreme adrenal exhaustion.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so being sensitive like that is adrenal exhaustion, or it could be separate, but typically that's what it is?
Typically it's adrenal exhaustion.
Interesting.
So insomnia is more the result of adrenal exhaustion than most of the other factors, even though they're all playing a role.
So what's going on with her when she says, this is typical of many people, this happens to me from time to time, about waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom?
That's an indication of kidney weakness.
Okay.
Lack of bladder control is an indication of, again, gene depletion, kidney weakness, overstress, toxicities, possibly acidity, straining, thickening the blood.
Okay.
Making it more difficult for the kidneys to process the load of toxins out of the bloodstream.
Okay. So really it's interesting because there's a lot of tips out there and articles and things about how to get a good sleep. And, people talk about making sure the room's dark and you're grounded, or all these kinds of different strategies, which are all great. But really it comes down to organ health. And that's interesting because you don't hear that a lot. You don't hear people talking about, how are your hormone levels? How are your kidneys working? And they typically just talk about going to bed at a certain time or kind of more strategies they can do. But it's really, Michael, all about organ health then, isn't it?
Exactly.
Interesting.
And this was a lesson long in, time learning, a lot of trial and error. But the bottom line, the cause, you have to really look at, well, what's really causing my body to not regulate itself normally?
Mm-hmm.
And I have identified 11 common causes of sleep disorders on the website. So anyone who wants to fully understand that, you can go to the vitalityherbsandclay.com, spelled out completely, and look on the homepage at the moment. That article is presented there as the current one for this week.
Okay.
But you can also go to the Vital Health Archives, Vital Health News Archives. It's a link at the top of all the web pages, and the very first article that shows up when you click on that is this one on sleep at the moment.
Okay.
Later down the road, it'll just keep going down the list there. But anyway, look for that one on sleep. You will have, it's 11 most common causes. And amongst them, there is mineral deficiency, electrolyte depletion or dysregulation, the sugar, the dietary considerations are major ones. Hydration is huge. Hydration. If we're dehydrated, the kidneys are going to be under a greater stress. And contrary to what one might think, dehydration causes or contributes to frequent urination. That hydration reduces frequent urination.
Wow.
Why is that?
Well, actually, Kate, we have to take a short break. This is good, though.
I want to know the reason.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, the kidney and hydration, things like that, because people have a lot of...
that is a misconception.
That's a huge issue. So we're with Michael King of Vitality Herbs and Clay, and we are just having a good time. So if you're interested in this article that he just talked about, we'll put a link to it on our show page here so you can find it really easy.
I was just checking it out. It has a lot of amazing information.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. And so this website or this page is extremehealthradio.com/131, and we'll link right to it in case if you're listening to this in a few years in the future and it's not there on the homepage anymore. But we'll be right back after this break. I do a lot of weightlifting and lifting heavy weights at the gym, and I love it. But there's also another side to working out, which actually helps you increase the energy in your body. As you know, in our culture, just about everything is a stress to our body. It depletes us of life force energy and our energy in general, whether it's, coworkers or getting to work or dealing with difficult family members, things like that. All of these things cause stress and energy depletion in our body. And something like Qigong is a really great way to help cultivate your inner energy, and it's been practiced by people in the East for thousands of years. It's put together by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar. You can find it at extremehealthradio.com/Qigong, which is Qigong, and it's called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. And I highly recommend getting this product. It comes as a physical product to your house with really great DVDs and workbooks on how to do this ancient art of cultivating your inner energy and building that core energy of your body. And it's been practiced, like I said, for thousands of years. So I highly, highly recommend checking it out. If nothing else, just go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong, Qigong, and get on their mailing list because they'll send you lots of free information as well. So check out Peter Ragnar. He looks amazing for how old he is. He's been doing this for like 60 years or something. It's really an amazing product. So check it out, extremehealthradio.com/Qigong.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio.
Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide.
Join our community today.
Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life.
At extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right, we're having a great time here with Michael King from Vitality Herbs and Clay. And don't forget to check out his website because his products are just amazing. And we love taking those things every day. So check those out. And also the commercial that we just ran for Qigong has lots of kidney exercises in there.
Yes, it does. And rebuilding your system, your Qi and your
Qi and Jing things. So make sure to check that out. And that would be that would be really great for you to check out. And again, we're with Michael King. And Kate, what were we talking about before the break?
Contrary to what we all believe about the dehydration issue, that is fascinating to me. I mean, you think the more you're hydrated, the more you're going to have to go to the bathroom during the middle of the night, but apparently it's not so, right, Michael? And how does that work?
Yes. The body requires, obviously, it is 70% water or whatever, and so it requires a lot of water. And when the water levels start to diminish, then there is a thickening of the blood. There is an increase in toxicity because water is one of your purification mechanisms. So the kidneys undergo strain in trying to deal with this low level of water. Toxins are concentrating. The blood is thicker. It's more strained. So I suspect, and I have not studied I have not seen any studies on this subject, but I'm using common sense here and logic. If you're putting sludge through your kidneys rather than a fluid, liquid, constant stream, then it's going to want to get rid of a lot of that toxins faster because the water would oftentimes neutralize, oxidize, hydrate, whatever a toxin long before it gets to the kidneys.
Uh-huh.
So it's eliminating that early. So kidney weaknesses from all these factors, including the dehydration or toxicity levels that have increased, can cause frequent urination during the day and during the night. Now, there are certain other foods like the common green tea. People who have insomnia, they think, well, I should go to the lighter herbs instead of coffee.
Uh-huh.
And so they'll reach for a green tea or maybe a black tea. But it just happens that green and black tea are far more diuretic. They'll make you pee far more often than coffee.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I was a big iced tea drinker.
Yeah.
And, I still enjoy that if I'm going to go to a restaurant. But the truth is that iced teas and green teas and black teas, they produce, they strain the nervous system and they strain the kidneys. So there's actually a lot of problems with both of them. There's benefits and there's problems with the tea area. So, so dehydration. So here's the key. Water alone is not the secret to hydrating the body. And so this is the mistake a lot of people make. They think, well, if I need to be drinking more water during the day.
Uh-huh.
Well, that can also deplete your electrolytes and cause further frequent urination due to electrolyte imbalance.
Interesting. Okay.
So I'm not necessarily saying you need to drink a gallon of water every day to eliminate frequent urination. I'm suggesting that there is a component to add to the water that will ensure your body stays hydrated at a balanced level, and these are mineral electrolytes that come from earthen sources, not a Gatorade or some other or store-bought natural health supplement.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Okay.
Okay. So every clay source, humic acid source, seaweed source, some land plants like nettles, alfalfa, these are rich mineral dense plants and earthen sources. And so they contain a boatload of electrolytes, which are basically minerals with an available ion, plus or minus.
Okay.
Okay, and so the common electrolytes are your sodium that you get from a good, wholesome, whole sea salt, like Himalayan or Celtic or something.
And maybe coconut water too?
Yes.
Okay.
Although there's a problem with coconut water in most cases if it isn't fermented because of the sweetness, especially when you get a hold of it by the time it gets across the ocean or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That sweetness is a challenge for most people in the coconut water department.
Okay.
Yeah, and same for the oils in the coconut milk department.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
these are a challenge. You have to really be careful about quantity, concentrations, and food combining when you start consuming them, if at all.
Okay.
So the safest thing I've ever come across, because believe me, I've tried these various delectable natural treats and so forth,
Yeah.
and slowly had to drop them off one by one as I realized the damage that they can cause for obvious reasons. So the clays are amongst the safest that I know. The clays and other mineral earthen sources, like what we have one called Ancient Mineral Blend, which is more of a plant-based ancient source that is not a clay. So these are excellent sources for your electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of a superfood that's green, dense green, that doesn't have a whole bunch of vegetables in it, which I don't recommend vegetables in a superfood because it waters them down too much. But seaweeds and algae and land plants like the nettles and the alfalfa or barley grass juice, things like that. These are dense in nutrients and very beneficial to the human body.
Okay.
How often should people be consuming these?
Yeah.
My feeling is our formula in that regard is called Earth and Sea Greens. It's very comprehensive, about 60 plus different herbs from really dense, good sources of nutrition. And I prefer to consume 2 tablespoons a day, more if I'm in a therapeutic bent. I want to, rebuild some stress levels or something faster.
Okay.
Or just because I want to cut back on food more, so I want to rely upon real food, which is this green superfood kind of combination, and less of the bulky stuff. Okay. Most of our bulky food, especially if you get it from a health food store, and of course if you get it from a regular grocery store, they are already deficient in nutrients because of the length of time it takes to get to their shelf and then to your dinner plate.
Okay.
So, and also because much of it is picked greener, and most of the nutrients do not even enter into a fruit or a produce up until the last 4 days prior to ripe.
Oh
my gosh! Wow. So they're just picked super green, aren't they?
Exactly, and that's why I'm a great advocate of growing your own food using the Anastasia concepts: 2 to 3 acres of land grown a certain way, hundreds of species of plants and herbs and so forth, and that is a solution to mankind in so many different ways. But one of the most important ways is it resolves all health problems.
Okay.
And the reason is because the land is picking up your signature, your health condition, and it starts growing specifically for you.
So that makes sense. I mean, along with the things we do like sauerkraut in your own kitchen, it picks up the beneficial bacteria and actually ends up helping you, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Right, that makes sense.
And so how does the spleen play into all of this?
Spleen is so central to good sleep because it is the organ of groundedness and grounding for your body.
Okay.
Oh, the spleen.
So what happens if people have their spleen removed? I know of a few people in my life that have had their spleens removed. Can you compensate for that?
You can, I believe, to a degree, and I couldn't say to what degree, but common sense tells me that the herbs that are designed by nature to support spleen health do so in both from a nutrient point of view as well as a energetic point of view. So I can only imagine that energetically, even though the organ might be missing, that it will support the body's energetic flows, and then it will have a positive impact.
Wow.
So the spleen, it assists in digestion. I'm looking at your article here of mucus-forming foods. It counters lightheadedness and improves the assimilation of all the nutrients throughout the body. It's I would imagine, pretty important then.
It's extremely important. And the spleen, the knowledge of the spleen actually came later on in my studies and discoveries of how to balance out the human body here. It is so crucial. It is more important, in my opinion, overall, than the kidney and the adrenals in some areas. when it comes to hormone production, the adrenals produce 50-plus hormones. So that's really central to the entire endocrine system. It's like foundational.
Okay.
The kidneys hold that kidney gene. The spleen regulates your ability for drive, stamina, fortitude, that get the job done kind of feeling. And when it gets blown out, then you have this melancholic, lackadaisical kind of, oh my God, I just don't have the energy to do anything. So there are things that blow out a spleen faster than anything, and there are three basic categories. One of them are sweets of all kinds, including fruits, especially if not taken alone on an empty stomach.
Okay.
And certain of the sweet fruits, and most of the fruits today that are mineral deficient will cause this just because they are a fruit that is minerally deficient and picked green. So it's a problem with today's fruits, even though normally fruits on an empty stomach alone, first thing in the morning, as an example, would work. And in some cases, you can get away with a certain amount of it. But not the super sweet fruits like your pears and seedless grapes and things like that. Anything seedless shouldn't really be consumed.
Okay, right.
It's just not nature. So and then I just ate apples the other day. I had an apple one day, another apple another day. And I couldn't believe how uncomfortable I felt, how it kind of whacked me out. And it was first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, and I didn't eat anything for 2 more hours. But let me tell you, the side effects from eating that apple was worse than what I had experienced in a long time. You know, and so and the reason is because it's obviously was picked green, and it wasn't on good quality soil grown. You know, so I'm just saying we have to be careful about what we eat.
Yeah, and most of the fruits too are bred hybridized to be so high in sugar too, right?
You know, that may be the problem with apples. I know that many of them have been hybridized.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Okay,
That's
so
a sad
the
state of affairs.
yeah, just a little bit.
Oh,
so
man.
the sugar is what blows out the spleen, and then you said I think there's a couple other things that does that as well.
Stimulants. Okay, the second and fastest way you can blow out a spleen between stimulants and alcohols, you know, which are sugary, but stimulants like the green tea, the black tea, the coffee, even yerba mate in concentrated amounts. I love a good strong tea in the morning with nettle leaf and yerba mate, so I'll put about a half a cup of each in a French press. And I'll make a good strong brew. Well, I know I can watch when I get just to that edge where it's starting to blow out the spleen, that I'll start to get spacey, and I'll start to clear my throat more often, and I'll be reading a paragraph and I just can't grasp it. You know, in other words, I'll read it 3 or 4 times and it's not sinking in.
Wow.
I'll go over there and I'll take some white oak bark or my spleen builder formula, and it will cause me to ground, and suddenly that paragraph is totally readable.
So how does that relate to clearing the throat as well? That's interesting.
Well, one of the ways to stress or strain a spleen is to eat a lot of mucus-forming foods. So your eggs, your milks, your cheeses, and of course, you will notice if you eat a lot of fruits that you will start clearing your throat, and that's the sign that you just blew out your spleen. So the spleen is responsible for producing bilirubin. It breaks down red blood cells that have done their job and they've died, and so it takes and processes, breaks them down into bilirubin, which is a component of bile, and then the rest of it is amino acids, which it uses to form various proteins and so forth.
Okay.
So it's a really beneficial job that the spleen does, taking red blood cells and recycling them. Bilirubin is a component of bile fluids in the body, and the bile is what helps the body to reduce the mucus-forming aspect of things. So it helps to clarify mucus and cholesterol, you know, and oily, fatty stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
So the bile is an absolutely essential component of good health, and it's more and more talked about these days, but it's a relatively still little-known secret of how to improve overall health, which has its significant impact on how we sleep, is the bile. And partly because the bile, if it's functioning properly and your body is in an alkaline state, most people from their sugars and alcohols and so forth are acid, their dairy products and so forth, acid. So when you pull yourself back into the alkaline state, the bile will flow more freely. It's in an acid state, it's thick, it doesn't flow, it doesn't do its job proper. And so you could get congested easily. You could have some bronchial problems, asthma, you can have just swollen sinuses, sleep apnea, all this congestion, drippy sinuses, all these things are somewhat related to spleen and its capacity to reduce mucus in the body overall.
So how long would you eat before going to bed if you're talking about wanting to be in a alkaline state? If someone wanted to take something like your earth and sea greens or something before bed, generally how long do you personally leave a gap for between the last time you eat and then before you go to sleep?
Ideally, I don't have problems getting to sleep anymore, so I can drink coffee, green tea, black tea, and yerba mate, and then eat a meal and to go right to sleep.
Wow.
Wow.
It was used. Now, that wasn't true, 15, 20 years ago.
I couldn't do that now. That's amazing.
I'm nearing 60, and I sleep fine, but I've concentrated. I've learned this through the School of Hard Knocks, okay? That's what I'm sharing with you. These are causes that I had in my life. I've observed it in thousands of clients. I've seen it proven it works. People who have had insomnia for decades, they can restore their sleeping powers if they follow these comprehensive but simplistic guidelines and really willing to make those changes. So it's really about building strength back in the spleen, the adrenals, the kidneys, your whole endocrine system, your thyroid, pineal, pituitary, etc. And it's done with minerals, adaptogenic herbs, alkalizing the body on a regular basis, and so forth. So I would do that. I prefer, but it's not a rule cast in stone. I prefer earth and sea greens twice a day as my alkalizing influence.
Okay.
Generally speaking, that's just that. For most people, that's all it will take in order to stay alkaline with some clay minerals.
Okay, so that's like a starting point then.
Yes. And if you feel acidic for any reason, there are two ways to go in my book. Three ways. One of them is the ancient mineral blend, which is a plant-based mineral source that has a very slight alkalizing influence, which is where you want to be really, 7.4 roughly, not 8.0 or whatever you want. So it has a slight alkalizing influence. It has more magnesium, so it relaxes the body. And then the earth and sea greens, so even if I took a teaspoon up to a tablespoon at a time, I'm going to right away feel more relaxed, and I'm going to feel my body's alkalizing itself.
Okay.
And then the second one, if I really want to get highly therapeutic, I will reach for thyroid balance, which is more concentrated in the seaweed category than earth and sea greens, although all of those ingredients are in the earth and sea.
Okay.
But because they're more concentrated, you're taking like a double amount of mostly some adaptogens and mostly seaweeds. So you will alkalize even faster, and you will feed your hormonal system better. There's just so many benefits to consuming a more concentrated version of seaweeds that I can hardly describe all the different ways in which it benefits the human body. But alkalization is one of them, and it's a nourishing influence. So it curbs the appetite. It cuts through that munchiness. Both the earth and sea, even a teaspoon of the earth and sea, which is 4 capsules for those who prefer that, and our new version is more sweet and tasty than it used to be. So it's a pleasant experience. And then the thyroid balance is a little more bitter, but the two together, and I will oftentimes just go and I'll take 12 capsules of earth and sea, which is equal to a tablespoon. I'll take 4, 6, 8, or 12 capsules of thyroid balance, depending on how I want to feel and how aggressive I want to be in the moment. And those two alone provide just this calming, cool, focused, mentally focused kind of experience that it's something you start to really crave. You know, because it's like natural, it's balanced, it's normal. I feel normal finally.
Wow, so we have a question here from Georgia, and she writes in something interesting. She talks about how her sleep has been dramatically improved by doing power yoga. And what do you think about taking melatonin supplements? I think you covered that a little bit earlier, but I mean, this seems to be what helps me sleep a little bit too. Is sometimes I'll do some yoga or stretching right before bed. And this lady's doing power yoga. What do you think's going on? Is there a connection between the exercise and how that relates to sleep?
Yes, yoga and especially the Qigong methods or Tai Chi, whatever. But I love the Qigong because I think some of them are really concentrated in getting the energy, the Jing back in the body. I'm a great fan of all that. Okay, exercise is good, a nice, gentle, slow walk, any kind of a yoga thing, stretching and so forth, that's all beneficial. Qigong, I'm preferable to some of the more concentrated versions of the Shaolin Qigong. Simple exercise, takes 5 minutes, grounding to the center of the earth, opening the heart to the heavens, and I sort of developed one of my own methods somewhat based upon that. I call it Heart Balance Qigong, which you'll search through my articles on the website. You'll find a description of that. And it's really simple, but very powerful and very effective. So it only takes 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, and you can balance out your energy flows, your qi, and build kidney jing.
Wow, okay.
The more you do it, the more you build it, yes. But you don't always need a whole lot of that if you're using these more powerful, concentrated methods. And you complement that with solid nutrition, which one of the things that exercise does is it is working with the electrical field of the body. The muscles respond based on electrical impulses. Nervous system is electrical. So what are they utilizing? They're utilizing electrolytes for that synapse response, so forth, and all of that. So you really have to be minerally abundant if you're going to work. We have individuals who have run the marathon, and they started up on earth and sea greens and the ancient mineral blend and some sacred clay and 1 or 2 or 3 of our other like hormone support systems, the kidney adrenal builder, the spleen builder, maybe the rejuvenation for men or women formula, and they beat their time by 2 hours in some cases, as some guy told me. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how do you do that?
Wow.
So, anyway, I'm just saying that it gives you endurance. It calms the body. It improves the electrical transmission across the nerves, and nerves cause the circulation of the body, so you get better capillary circulation when you have good nerve flow. Good nerve flow is dependent on calcium and various electrolytes. So you need to be constantly putting that in your body because your body's constantly utilizing them.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So what are some other things that you talked about in your article? I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but I just want to kind of briefly cover some of the other things. Like you talk about stress and worry and home and environmental toxins and respiratory weakness, oxygen exchange. What are some of the other main things people should look at for improving their sleep?
Clearly, we get back to nature as close as possible. Okay, and that's a very big concept that most people may not even, accomplish in this lifetime. But any step in the right direction of getting back on your own piece of land, growing all of your own, food, and living in a toxin-free environment to every degree possible, within reason. We're not going to do this all in one life experience. So, but we will move in the right direction. Our future generations may pick up the ball and run with it, or we just may be so aggressive we do it. But bottom line is, obviously, the carpets in your house, especially in the bedrooms, they're exuding formaldehyde and a lot of dust. And so it's not exactly the best thing to be breathing. Even though we're getting inundated with chemtrails and so forth, I have observed that even with windows open, there's better air quality from the outside than anything in the house. The house is very toxic as a general rule.
Okay.
So you have to watch that, and then of course electrical wires do increase tension. Now you can counter a lot of this. What I'm saying is our program, even though those are wise steps to take, you can still get results without being inundated, without changing a whole lot of those. Although the smart meters is a huge problem for numerous people, you got to somehow get that baby turned off or protect yourself from those invasive EMFs and so forth.
Would you recommend turning off the power supply to the house or to the room? Some people do that.
That it can be helpful. I don't know what that will do for a smart meter situation, but generally, yes, the less electrical field, the less tension in your body, and the more your mind can relax.
Okay.
But the truth is, if you're not sleeping well in the environment that is toxic and in electrical fields and so forth, then that's largely because you've already become sensitive due to all the other factors we've just discussed. And so by correcting those factors, you will regain your stamina and your ability to resist or withstand various other kinds of toxic EMF-type influences and so forth, and even especially if you're doing the Qigong methods. Your biofield will modify the EMFs coming into you and in your room. It's your biofield. You are the divine being that can generate a biofield that will counter or eliminate the effects of those influences. But that doesn't mean go out and start eating a bunch of sugar. That's unnatural, and I'm saying that we need to be wise and slip into harmony with the natural order. But you can do so with this kind of a program coupled with some good Qigong or good exercises that builds the kidney jing and the meridian flow of the body in a balanced way.
And Michael, I don't know why I always have these strange questions, but it just came to me. Are all your products safe and beneficial both for pregnant women?
Well, that's a very good question. We get asked that a lot because, and I have to put it this way, we've never, for legal reasons, I cannot recommend this for pregnant women because none of them have been tested and proven. Anecdotally, others have taken it upon themselves, both pregnant women, people looking to become pregnant, and those who started up on the program during nursing and so forth. Anecdotally, I've gotten so many positive results, so much positive feedback that that if I have to suspect that if a woman were to follow her natural intuitive guidance, which I consider to be foremost and first in making any kind of a decision about you or your child, you listen to your intuition, that in most cases I suspect that she may find these products quite safe and beneficial because all these stories of great children, ease of childbirth, less pain during labor, healthy child, as a result, other symptoms that come on that are common in this day and age. Once the child goes to a doctor and gets these immunization shots, we see great improvement in the child's health and mental focus, and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And Michael, just to let people know, you do consultations with people because people are probably listening to this going, oh my gosh, how do I restore my adrenals or my thyroid, things like that. You can meet with people over the phone. Are you still doing that?
Yes. Yeah, we just have to call the office and then set up an appointment. We set up a mutually agreed time. I can record that for you. We can go, by the hour or part of an hour. It's paid consultation, $100 an hour.
Okay, excellent. And if people are overseas, can they patch in with you through Skype or anything like that? Or how do overseas people typically do that?
They oftentimes will call. I don't have Skype set up personally, so that's a really good question. Would that change that? Maybe, but they have typically either sent me emails or we have communicated over the phone. They just call in.
Okay.
Set up a time.
Excellent. And we'll put a link to your entire article because we just kind of basically sprinkled over everything you put in here, and it's pretty comprehensive and exhaustive, this whole article. He's got 11 ways or common causes of sleep disorders. And then at the bottom, it's really cool. You've got, let's see, what do you call it? 6 ways to improve or 5 secrets to sleeping well. So lots
Actually,
of
I added one, so it should have been a 6. I'm looking at it myself and realizing some of them got changed. That one didn't.
Well, great. One more reason. This is good. You get a bonus material.
Yes.
Well, that's great. So thank you, Michael, for sharing this and for doing the work that you do. We love your products ourselves, and just amazing stuff. So thank you for all that you do.
You're quite welcome. It's my pleasure, and I appreciate all that you do there with this massive array of beautiful, good people information.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Wow. So what do you think of Michael King and what he's doing? Amazing stuff.
Asked me a year ago if I had ever heard of earth and sea greens or ancient mineral blends. I would have been like, what the heck are you talking about? But we've been dabbling. We've gone down this road for the last maybe 8 months.
With his products.
And ever since we've been taking the various clays and things we've experimented with, I mean, I really feel a lot better going to my hair salon.
Yeah.
Knowing I have this stuff in me that is just helping my cause until I can be out of that unfortunate situation.
Yeah, the salon is so toxic. And we actually just got an email from someone via Facebook on that, and we're going to be covering that on our next.
Right. I cannot wait to talk about her email on the next Free for All Friday show. But I mean, and we sprinkle some of the clay on Maggie's dog food. I mean, just little bits here and there if it's helping us, I can only imagine it helps animals. I don't know. We didn't ask him that question, but the sleep thing though, man. I mean,
by the way, really quickly before I forget, I want to just mention this. If you guys are interested in everything that he was talking about in terms of combining carbs and sugars, I'm sorry, not carbs and sugars,
sugars and
fat. Listen to episode number 41. That's his previous episode where we covered all of his philosophies on candida and that kind of thing. But yeah, you were talking about sleep.
Well, first of all, I do agree that food combining thing it was so new to me 7 years ago, and now it just seems like just a natural progression that people kind of go down once they start to be interested in their health. So that would be a really good thing to check out if you're looking to start somewhere.
Well, the thing too is that he takes a different take on food combining that you typically hear, because a lot of people will say you need to eat the fat, like the nuts or the avocado, with the sugar in order to slow the absorption of the sugar
into your bloodstream,
to cause this real spike. And so that's a traditional take on food combining, but he says that's what causes candida. And if you're interested in his philosophies on that, check out that show.
That episode 41.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But yeah, no, I mean, you and I were talking yesterday on a walk about just how many people I know personally. I mean, I can count on 2 hands probably the amount of people just in my inner circle that have sleep problems.
Oh yeah.
And always have. I mean, it is a huge, what did you say? You thought like some percentage, like
I think it's
75%.
Yeah, I think it's close to 70 or something like 68% or something.
Of people have sleep issues?
Yeah, and I have been waking up recently myself in the middle of the night. So I think I need to start thinking about, organ health instead of, not eating a certain amount of hours before bed or not drinking water before bed. I mean, those are all good practices and things like the EMF and stuff, but I didn't wrap my mind around this whole idea of if your organs work and your hormones work and your thyroid works and all your organs work, then you're going to sleep all the way through. And rebuilding those things is, I guess, critical. That's
funny because I had that thought driving down the street today when I went to go to the store to get some berries, and I was thinking, gosh, isn't it everything about our internal terrain? Like, if our internal terrain and our organs, the whole thing together is healthy, I mean, you can't be, because I thought of like flu season coming up when back to school starts and winter coming up, it's a long way away, but I thought, man, everybody says you're going to, you could catch that cold from somebody else. Well, the only way you're going to catch it is if your immune system's shot. So that goes back to the whole internal terrain. I mean, if your organs are healthy and you're in a healthy state, I feel like you could almost just be around anybody with anything or have any kind of problem and have it completely obliterated.
Yeah, you could have a guy with the flu and just
wiping his nose and rubbing it on you and you wouldn't get it. I mean, but I wonder, I mean, that's true about the organs. And I mean, yeah, the outside things people try to do to calm their brain to go to sleep isn't probably nearly as effective as if you get your organs working the way they should. Your body's just going to want to go into that state more naturally.
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of value to those things, but I think that
I do too.
For some reason in our Western culture, we only think of those things as being the main things that you should focus on. And it seems like you should focus on organ health and then also do these other things, like maybe do a little yoga or some stretching, or get off the computer before bed. All these kind of...
Turn down the lights, blue screening, all that.
You know, it's interesting when he talked about the pineal gland and how it can sense the sunrise even before the sunrise. And then I thought, what if people's pineal glands are calcified? And then I came across a video the other day of a specific juice recipe that will decalcify the pineal gland. So we'll put a link to that on the show as well.
Really?
Yeah.
This pineal gland is coming up left and right.
And I heard that it's supposed to be the size of an eyeball, but instead it's the size of like a little pea because it's so shrunk. And that was what allowed us to breathe, I guess, better and to hyperoxygenate our cells. And there's a relationship between the pineal gland size and the fact that, how in the Bible it talks about how man used to live till 900 years old, and there's some connection between the pineal gland and that, and
longevity.
It's just crazy stuff.
Wow. And you think holding your breath and things like that, the way that we're able to...
Well, this video was talking about how because the pineal gland is so shrunk and it's unable to be, it's almost decalcified and just not working because it's like a rock instead of an eyeball the way it's supposed to be. It is unable to oxygenate the body and the blood, and I don't know, but it's just amazing things. I
would love to talk more about that.
Yeah, it's just really, really interesting. And we'll put a couple links to different articles about improving sleep on this particular episode. So this was extremehealthradio.com/131. So we'll have all of the links, and eventually we'll have the transcript up there and all kinds of stuff. But interesting because, he didn't even mention blue light, and how I wear those glasses at night, and you can get that flux program for your computer or for your iPhone that you put in, where you're located, what time zone you're in, and it automatically lowers the blue light.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah, you plug in your time, and it's really cool. Right around sunset, you'll just notice your computer turn almost kind of orange. And it starts lowering the blue light. So
which is funny because last night you said that was in full swing and we watched TV around 10 and I couldn't even see a difference. I didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
There's all kinds of things. I mean, we've heard about people taking chamomile tea, kava, valerian root. I don't know if any of those are stimulants, if Michael would think those are stimulants or those are calming things, but lots of things that we didn't really get to today. But I like what he said about, grounding and doing the Qigong and helping to rebuild
your
adrenals and kidneys and things.
Your spleen sounds huge.
Yeah.
I know it's unfortunate we know people without spleens, but whew.
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Big part.
So I'm going to work on this. I wonder if I know there's a way to do everything, but I'd like to be able to not get up at all in the middle of the night. I usually get up around 1 or 2 in the morning and go to the bathroom.
Hydration.
I know.
Maybe you're dehydrated. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to work on this too. I've been through different phases in my life where I'll get up, and in the last 6 months, probably I don't even get up at all. If not, maybe once, but hardly ever anymore. And
wow.
I don't know. I think it's just my body's recalibrating to its better self.
More natural state.
Yeah.
And so thank you all for joining us on this show. And if there's ever anything we can do for you, please let us know. And if you ever go get any products from Michael King, we're connected up with him, and I'm not saying this to you so that you should go get them. I'm just saying that I really like them and Kate really loves them, and they're just amazing stuff. So just tell them,
Extreme Health Radio sent you.
Yeah, Extreme Health Radio. And call up. You can call Michael up and talk to him on the phone, and he'll ask you where you heard about it. And so just let him know that you heard about it from us if you're interested. That's basically about it. If you could do us a favor, and if you know of anyone who might benefit from this show, either our website in general or this particular episode, which is 131, can you send this to people that you know on Facebook? Perhaps you can put it into a status update. And that's a really, really great way to share our show with people because, like I've mentioned before, we don't have an advertising budget and a marketing plan and all this kind of stuff. We just kind of are relying on you guys to help us. And if you could, that would be a really, really big help to just share it with your friends and you share it with people that you know. And, that would just be really, really helpful. So we want to help as many people as we possibly can. So that's basically what we're about. So thank you so much. If there's ever anything we could do for you, you can email me, Justin at extremehealthradio.com or Kate, Kate at extremehealthradio.com. So thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even as you educate yourself in the field of live food nutrition and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers or listeners medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog and during this podcast is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any of the information on this podcast or in this blog, or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment or cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be construed as such.